Today is Wednesday, October 16th at 2:11 p.m. We're here at the TNT Academy Middle and High School on Old Lexington Road in Elgin, Texas. We're recording an oral history from you, Charles Wilson Jr. The interview is being conducted under the auspices of the Elgin Oral History Project. It will be used for generations to educate the young and old about life in Elgin through your recollections and personal observations. The recording will be transcribed and preserved in a database. The Elgin Oral History Project organization is a community-based, not-for-profit entity with a mission of preserving Elgin's history through storytelling and personal interviews. Do I have your consent to record this interview today?
Yes, you do.
Thank you. My name is Debbie Cartwright, and I serve on the board of directors for the Elgin Oral History Project. With me is John C. Smith, who may also ask questions and will ensure that the audio recording is operating properly. I'll ask questions about your upbringing, education, career, family, and observations about the community, both past and present. Let's begin. You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Where were you born and raised?
Well, I was born in San Antonio, Texas. My family, we moved here to Elgin in 1982. I was born December 18th, 1974. And so I moved to Elgin in 82, the beginning of my second grade year. And trust me, when I came to Elgin, I was like, oh, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. 'Cause I left my friends in San Antonio. But this was a great move for my parents because both of my parents was from here.
Oh, so tell me about your immediate family, your parents, your siblings, and that sort of thing.
Okay, my parents, both of them are deceased now. My mother passed away in 2002, and my father passed away in 2018. And both of them were from here in Elgin, and they both attended Washington School. Neither of my parents graduated from high school, and that is the reason why I chose to major in education when I went into college. My siblings, when it comes to my siblings, I come from a blended family, so both of my parents were married before, they had families before they had gotten together. So I have a total of seven siblings on my father's side and 2 other siblings on my mother's side. And so again, and I come in,
Yeah.
and I was my parents' only child together. And so I was lucky, I would say I was blessed to have come into a blended family.
Yes.
The way that I had. All of my siblings on both my mother's side and my father's side have been very supportive in everything that I've done in my entire life, and I couldn't be half the person I am today had it not been for the blendedness of my family.
I have to add, from my own personal perspective, because you'll appreciate that, it's my grandfather was in the same way. He was the only child in a blended family, and he had all these sisters. He had like 6, maybe, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 sisters from both sides, and he was the only boy.
Oh, my.
And so you understand how that made you special, didn't it?
Oh yeah, most definitely, most definitely.
So your parents didn't graduate from high school. Where did they work? What did they do for a living?
Well, when they, the reason for them not graduating, they worked out in the fields.
Yeah.
They picked cotton, and they made sure to let me know that every chance they got when I was growing up about how hard it was for them. And so when we were living in San Antonio, my mom was a nurse's aide at Norman Terrence Hospital. I don't know if it's still there anymore, but she was a nurse's aide. And so she did that for quite a number of years. And so she enjoyed that very much so. She was really off into medicine and that type of stuff. And so she definitely relished in that realm. My father, he was a mechanic. He was an automotive manager at Sears Automotive in San Antonio for a number of years. And so when we moved over to Texas, not Texas, but we moved over to Elgin. When we came to Elgin, that's when it stopped. She became like a caregiver. My mom became a caregiver, and my dad helped out a lot in that as well. And he would do little odd jobs here and there. Yeah. So we were like on a fixed income, if that makes any sense. Yes, ma'am.
It does make sense. Very interesting upbringing.
Yes, ma'am.
A lot of family support.
It was a great deal of family support. I would have to say it was a great deal of family support. Again, when I look back on it now, I'm like, oh my, I may have not had the materialistic things, but the love made it so rich for me.
Yes.
And again, I credit a lot of who I am and what I'm still striving to be was to my upbringing.
Where did you attend grade school?
Oh man, let's go. I first started out at Kitty Hawk Elementary over in San Antonio. Started out at Kitty Hawk Elementary in 1980, and then again in 82 we moved here to Elgin, and I started over at Elgin Primary School in 82, and in 1985 I went over to Elgin Elementary School, and in 87 I went over to Elgin. It was Elgin Junior High, not the middle school, Elgin Junior High School. And it didn't become Elgin Middle School until my 8th grade year. We was Elgin Middle School, and so in fall of 1990, I went over to Elgin High School, and proud graduate of the 1994 graduating class of Elgin High School.
Do you have special memories of those times in Elgin High School?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I have some great memories, and one of my best memories in high school would have to be my shop teacher, Mr. Larry Axelson. And Mr. Axelson, he was so funny. And, we had just, a bunch of boys in the class, immature 9th grade boys. And we learned so much from Mr. Axelson. And some of the stuff that he was teaching us, at that time, you were like, well, we actually need this in life. Let's just say 32 years later.
You're still using it.
I'm still, yes, exactly. So I love my time in all of my classes. One of the things I could say, there's every last teacher I had, I want to say there's one that really don't stick out because they all impacted my life in some type of way. And I'm very grateful for that. But if I had to talk about someone who impacted my life as an educator, it goes back to when I was in 8th grade at Elgin Junior High School. Let me take it back. I'm sorry. At that time, Elgin Middle School, when I was an 8th grader, a lady by the name of Annie Jo Love. And she was the one that impacted my life and inspired me to be an educator.
What did she do that caused this inspiration?
She was stern, and I don't have a stern bone in my body. She was stern, she was fair, and she saw what you didn't see. And what I mean by that is, she always seen something in all of her students that came through her door. She seen something in them, and she pushed for it. Mm-hmm. And so that's why, and whenever I watched her every day, constantly, every single day, she never wavered with anything. I didn't care if you came in with a bad attitude, you gave her attitude, guess what? She wasn't going to take that mess. And she was just like a mom figure to every last one of the kids that came through her doors. And she cared.
She had faith in you when you didn't have faith in yourself.
Yes. And one of my greatest accomplishments, I would have to say, was in 2008, the spring of 2008. I had a chance to come back and visit. I came back to visit here in Elgin, spring break of 2008, and someone told me I needed to go see Miss Love. I need to go see Miss Annie Jo Love. So I went to Miss Love's class and gave her a big hug, and she had me speak to all of her classes. That day, it was on a Friday, I'll never forget. She may have had like 4 classes, and I had a chance to speak to all of her classes, and that was one of the most beautiful moments ever. So the following year, she ended up retiring because she found out she had cancer. And so February 13th, 2010, she had passed away. No, February 8th, 2010, I'm sorry, February 8th, 2010, she had passed away of cancer. And so I say for me that was an accomplishment because she was the one that inspired me to teach, inspired me to be in education. And so that's why speaking for her class was like a joy to me, because it was her that had placed something in me to give it back to somebody else.
I know that you knew Coach Barry, and he was your football and basketball coach, I believe. Can you talk a little bit about sports in high school and what Coach Barry meant to you?
Woo! Oh my! When it comes to T. Barry, it started back in 7th grade when he was my football coach, and so football was something I loved, but I wasn't the greatest at it. I loved it because I felt like it got me ready for basketball. Basketball, to me, was my outlet, and football was the thing that got me ready for my outlet. Taught me some aggression, if that makes any sense. And so, Coach Berry impacted my life from day one. Even as my football coach, I said this spoke of this at his funeral service a couple of weeks back. I'll never forget September 22nd, 1988. We're getting ready to play the Caldwell Hornets. Seventh grade. We had about 25 to 30 guys, and we're getting ready to get a pregame speech from Coach T. Berry, and he talks about the Battle of Gettysburg. And he got us hyped up talking about the Battle of Gettysburg. And you want to know something? 36 years later, that still resonates with me right now. And so, again, that right there impacted me. I want to say it was my junior year of high school. My junior year of high school, I would say that was the lesson Coach Berry taught me. My junior year of high school, playing basketball for him, I didn't start that year. I came off the bench. We had a senior loaded class. Mm-hmm. But I thought I should have been out there with them seniors. And that was just me. But when I look back at the big picture now, I get it. And we did have a good, talented class. But I thanked him for allowing me to come off the bench that year. And because I got a chance to learn the game by watching. And by watching, when I learned the game, it enhanced me my mind to, I think I want to be a coach one day, because I'm actually learning the game by watching the game instead of playing. And so he retired. That was the same year he stepped down from coaching, the end of my junior year. And so my senior year, we had a new coach come in, and that time I was one of the few seniors on the team captain, all Central Texas, all district, and got a college scholarship. Blessed to get a college scholarship. And again, I owe a lot of that to Coach T. Berry. Again, Coach Berry, my freshman year, right away he put me with the JV and varsity guys, and he challenged me every single day. And so I'll never forget when I was leaving, getting ready to leave for college, I had visited Coach Berry to just tell him thank you. And I asked him, why were you so hard on me? And his exact words was this: cream rises to the top every single time. And so I took those words with me to college, and I was able to have a great collegiate basketball career as well.
I think that's another example of your teachers having faith in you and seeing something in you that you didn't even know about yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, teachers are more than just educators. They are mentors and facilitators and people who really enrich the lives of their students.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. So you got a scholarship to go to college. Which college was that? And tell us about your basketball career in college.
Well, I started out at a Sheridan Junior College in Sheridan, Wyoming, and actually Coach Berry was the reason because of that. He had a connect, and I went there for a year just to, brush up on skills and whatnot. I look at it as the developmental, if that makes any sense. Yes. And so I was only there for a year. So April of '95, I was looking for a school to go to, a transfer. Usually when you go to junior colleges, you transfer. So I was I needed to transfer to a school because at that time, it just wasn't working out, just wasn't feeling at peace about something. And my English professor at the time, named Carol Garcia, thought I should go to a Christian college. And so I was like, okay, there's Christian. So the Christian colleges offer basketball. And so,
yes, they do.
And so, and again, that's how naive I was back then. But I said, do they offer basketball? And so we looked up this 4-year Christian college catalog. Page 598 out of a 600-page book was Grace College of the Bible in Omaha, Nebraska. And so we called 402-449-2800, and we told them my story. And then 2 days later, I get stuff in the mail to come to Grace College of the Bible, which it was getting ready to become Grace University because they ended up getting this accreditation. So my first year on campus at Grace University in 1995 was the life changer for me. And this is where my college coach, His name is Jim Clausen. I would say that man was the most impactful man in my life. And the reason why I call it impactful, God used Coach Berry as that stepping stone. And once that stepping stone went off to somewhere else, God used Jim Clausen to like, okay, now we're about to really mold you. And he had ways of breaking me down as well. And when I mean break me down, it's like they tell you the stuff that you don't want to hear, but you need to hear it. And I praise God for that, because he was that coach that I would have did any and everything for. And I'll never forget my last collegiate basketball game, February 27th, 1999. We had just finished playing Dallas Christian, and I had a pretty decent game. And that was my last collegiate game. And at the end, I had to say a speech, to all the players, and then also to my coach. And Miss Debbie, that was probably one of the hardest speeches I ever had to make, and then to hug my coach. And I cried and I wept like a baby, because that's how much he meant to me. That's how much he impacted my life. It wasn't because I was, saying, by the college basketball. It was because, like, God had placed something so beautiful in my life, and it made me to want to be better.
What was the most important thing that Coach Clausen taught you?
Character. Character. He said character goes a long way. And he always preached character in practices. Every practice we had a character. We always had these character nuggets. And being at a Christian college where you could actually do those type of things. And character was always number one on Coach's list. And so I'll forever be grateful for that. And that's something I even carry into my everyday work life. Not even my work life, but also with my family as well.
Excellent. That's good. Obviously, you are a Christian and you've been involved in church. And my next question has to do about church.
Yes,
Growing
ma'am.
up, and how I know must have been a big part of your life. Did it start in San Antonio and move on to Elgin, or how did church mold you? The institution of church.
Oh man, Miss Debbie, now you about to put some tears in my. You about to put some big water in my eyes, Miss Debbie. Church came about for me in January of 1987. January of 1987, I was a sixth grader, and as a family church, Mount Carmel Baptist Church, and
I know where that is.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Mount Carmel Baptist Church, the late Reverend Q.S. Goins.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that man is another vessel that God placed in my life that was huge and instrumental. And I can still, to this day, recall sermons that Pastor Goins would preach, and still kind of just think about those sermons from time to time. And I'll never forget, it was June 27th, 1987, where I got baptized, where he baptized me. And there was men in the church. There was a guy named James Hendricks, Mr. Jimmy. He's passed away here a couple of years ago, and who taught me how to pray. He was a deacon in the church and taught me how to pray when I was 12 years old. And that still rings out to me. There's another guy, the late James MacArthur, Deacon James MacArthur. When I would see those guys pray on Sunday when I was a little boy, I was like, man, I want to be able to pray like that one day. And just to see their strength, to see how they held themselves up, that was just amazing to me. And I would say men of the church over at Mount Carmel helped raise me when I was growing up. But it was Pastor Goins' leadership that really took it to a whole nother level for me.
And those were men of character also.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. And I'll never forget, the Sunday before I left to go to college, Pastor Goins had a Bible for me, and he presented it to me in front of the whole congregation. And he said, don't open this Bible. Don't just open this Bible when you're in the trouble. You make sure you open it all the time, and don't let it collect dust. And you know what? 30 years later, I still have that Bible.
That's wonderful.
It's always kind of messed up a little, but I still have the Bible. Yes, ma'am.
No, that was a treasure.
Yes, ma'am.
A
Yes,
real
ma'am.
treasure.
Yes, ma'am. It was.
In addition to school and church and family and everything else that was going on in your life during that period of time, What do you remember about the community of Elgin during those days when you were going to school here, having moved from San Antonio, getting involved in everything that you were involved in? What did you think of the community?
When growing up, when I thought of the community, I thought the community to me, and that's one of the reasons why I moved back after being gone for 28 years. The community for me was a village. When I was growing up, I didn't have a car, I didn't own a car. Every now and then I would ride a bike, but I would walk up and down Main Street, and people would blow their horns, honk their horns. Hey, Bam Bam! I have a nickname, a childhood nickname that I grew up with, Bam Bam. And so I would go inside of a store or whatnot. Hey, Bam Bam, how you doing? No Charles, just hey, Bam Bam, how you doing? And so the community made me feel really good. And what I loved about the community when I was growing up, of what I saw, is just like people working together, and that was ingrained, and they loved this place. And so I remember in 2011, when I was living in Omaha, Nebraska, a friend of mine named Terrence Mackey had talked about growing up in this community. So community didn't start really resonating with me until like 2011. How can I be involved in my community? And so fast forward to 2020, about the end of 2020, I kind of knew, like, first of all, I was going through a dark time in my life. I was going through a separation from my ex-wife, and I remember just like, okay, I feel like I'm broken, God, but God, you can still use me. I think you can still use me. And all I could think about was community. I said, what would it be like for me to move back to my hometown and be used in my community? Because I would always come back to Elgin and visit. And every time I visited Elgin, it was something spectacular that always grabbed my eye. Just about like, oh man, this is pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Okay, Elgin, that's pretty cool. And I wanted to be a part of that. And so when I made the move back in 2022, and I seen all the beautiful things that was going on in Elgin, at the time I moved back, Elgin was celebrating its 150th year, the sesquicentennial. That was a great time to come back to. And then that we also had Teresa McShan elected as mayor. And to me, that was beautiful for me. Like, I came back at a great time, and that's the time to get involved. Okay. And so it's been amazing to see how Elgin has grown and evolved as a community. And the most impactful thing, Ms. Debbie, is a lot of people that I get a chance to serve with in the community, a lot of them are not from Elgin. Yeah. And they love it. And so it's a beautiful thing to be a part of this, the community, and serve with some amazing people.
Mm-hmm. Which is part of what we're trying to capture with the Elgin Oral History Project, so that we keep all this history and community going, and just with new people coming in, and then people like you who moved back. Yes, after 28 years.
28 years, yes,
28 years gone. So you left and you went to college. You were in Grace University after you got to junior college. And then you went to work where? I've got to catch up in that 28 years.
Okay,
you were doing a little bit.
The summer after I graduated from college, one thing I left out, I played international basketball, semi-pro basketball overseas.
That's a big deal. Where overseas did you play?
Started out in the Philippines with a group called Athletes in Action. Mm-hmm. And so we did a tour in the Philippines. And so a lot of our games, we would, we play the games against the professional teams over there. And then we would share the gospel of Jesus Christ at halftime and after the games. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of my traveling, I got a chance to see a lot of the country through basketball, but also sharing the gospel. Mm-hmm. And so again, I credit Elgin a lot of that stuff, because again, there's different places that I got a chance to do certain things, and in some of these places were worse conditioned places. Mm-hmm. But being able to adapt to your environment, again, I credit a lot of that to my upbringing in Elgin, and also how the community raised me. And so I did that in the summer times. I did that for almost 13, 14 years. Every summer I would go to different countries, play basketball, and share the gospel with different organizations. And so, but during the fall years, I would course teach. So I'm into my 26th year of education.
Were you teaching in high schools?
Well, we're about to get there.
Okay.
We're definitely about to get there. So fall of '99, I started out at a middle school called Ralston Middle School. And my first teaching job, basically it was one-on-one with an autistic young man. And so
Now, Ralston High School is where?
Ralston Middle School. It's in Ralston, Nebraska, Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay.
So so it was all of that was in Nebraska, and so I did that for a year.
One-on-one teaching with an autistic student. Wow.
And let's just say he taught me more than I taught him, and that opened my eyes to something really bigger. So the next year, I only did that for 1 year. So the next year I transferred to the Omaha public school system, and I was at this place called Yates Alternative School for 3 years. And so Yates Alternative School, basically you're in a school with alternative kids who can't make it in the public schools, and you get the pretty much the bottom of the barrel. And so it was survival of the fittest, I would always call it. That job right there actually prepared me for what was ahead for me. So I did that for 3 years. I taught in that system for 3 years, and so then there's this beautiful place called the Omaha Street School, and I was there for 19 years before I moved here. I was at the Omaha Street School. I served in many capacities. The Omaha Street School is a faith-centered alternative high school that was set up for students that may have been kicked out of public schools but needed a second chance at education. But what made us different is we had the faith piece. It was the faith piece. So I did that for 19 years. I started out as a Bible teacher, American history teacher. I taught math for like the first three years there, and from there I became an administrator. I served as a dean of students, assistant principal role, and also my last couple of years I served as kind of like the director of student support. So basically I would work hand in hand with our principal, with our teachers, and with our students. And then I would also go out in the community and talk about the school. I would work hand in hand basically more so with our executive director, who was kind of like the superintendent that oversaw it all. Yes, ma'am.
And the students came from Omaha.
Yes, ma'am. They were, So they were all, again, it was a great, we served in the North Omaha vicinity. And North Omaha is probably more one of the most talked about neighborhoods or part of Omaha that people try to shed a dim light on, but it shouldn't be a dim light, because there's a lot of great things that was happening in North Omaha, and that's still happening in North Omaha. A lot of greatness that's going on.
That's
there.
Fascinating.
Yes, ma'am.
I had no idea any of that was going on. You said the name of the school was Street School?
Omaha Street School.
And why did they come up with the name Street School? Getting kids off the street, or what was the meaning of the word street?
Well, this is how it started, because in 1985 there was a school in Denver called the Denver Street School that was started by a guy named Tom Tillapaw, and he started this school in the basement of his house in Denver, Colorado, and so it ended up growing, really, evolving. And so there was a guy named John Parsons, who was a young, really cool district attorney, who would volunteer his time and teach law at the Denver Street School. And at the Denver Street School. And Mr. John Parsons, and he's actually my mentor. He's still my mentor after all these years, and one of my best friends. And so in the 1997, he and his wife Lori, he and his late wife Lori, and their 7-year-old son Jared came to Omaha to visit, because he was originally from Omaha. They came to Omaha to visit, and they drove by this campus, and they said, wouldn't it be awesome if we started a street school here in Omaha called the Omaha Street School? Again, he's a big-time attorney out in Denver, Colorado, making buku bank. But his wife, Lori, she followed his vision. So they packed up their life from Denver, Colorado, came to Omaha, Nebraska to start the Omaha Street School. And so the Parsons have been a huge support in my life, and the Omaha Street School is into its 26th year in existence, and it's been amazing to still follow Omaha Street School even here in Texas. And in the street school, I got a chance to serve in so many different administrative capacities, where it has equipped me for what I do now for TNT Academy. And so I can't thank God enough for bringing me to Omaha Street School and me being there for so long the way that I have, because you develop not only a relationship with the students there, but the relationship with their families, the community. And the street school was in a very unique spot in the North Omaha community. So that's why this thing called community means so much to me.
Yes. And it sounds like the experience that you had there led you to your current position
Yes,
here at
ma'am.
TNT Academy. I want to know more about TNT Academy and how you made your decision to come here. And first, what does TNT stand for? What is the acronym?
I want to say Coach Pam got it from the tuck and tumble, because she did like gymnastics type of stuff when she first started. I want to say tuck and tumble, and then it ended up going to tumble and trampoline. I think Miss Antoinette it's called tumble and trampoline now. But that's how TNT got started, through a gymnastic piece through the late Pamela Barnett. And how I came to know about TNT, it was December 2021. A good friend of mine by the name of Bob Heisler, and man, I love Mr. Heisler. He and
Bob Heisler is a good friend of ours too.
Oh, okay. He and I go way back. So, anyways, he sees me Christmas break of 2021, and he gets word that I'm moving back. That I was planning on moving back to Elgin. And so, and I was like, I hadn't put no feelers out or anything. And he had taken me, he got me in his truck, and we had drove from the Holiday Inn. We drove from Holiday Inn all the way to Page to see TNT. And this was December 27th, 2021. So we pull up into this parking lot out in Page, and I see this big old mansion of a house. I'm like, oh man, this is pretty nice. It's pretty cool. So we park this truck, we walk inside, and you see these rooms, these classrooms, and I meet Coach Pam. And also a lady named Kay O'Neill. And we were talking about school, we were talking about vision, all these type of things. And so when Coach Pam talked about her vision, I was like, man, I could see myself at a place like this, because I was telling them about what I was doing at the Omaha Street School. And we were also talking about accreditation, because at the time, TNT was trying to become accredited. So I had talked about, kind of give them some ideas about what it took for the Omaha Street School to become accredited. And so we just sat there and talked about school for almost an hour. And I remember walking back to Mr. Heisler's truck with him, and we just prayed for me to possibly one day land at TNT Academy. And then I kind of laughed it off, but God even laughed harder. And so that spring came around. I had put my feelers out to a lot of the schools here in the Central Texas area, and for some reason, and I got passed over, and that's okay, because God had a plan. And I'll never forget. And there was one job that offered. There was a public school that offered. But God had a plan, and His plan was for me to be at TNT Academy. I knew I was going to take a big cut in pay, and my pastor had talked about, I'll never forget, it was Easter Sunday, my pastor had talked about, God is not going to take you somewhere and just drop you off. Sometimes you might have to scrape the bottom of the barrel and work your way back up. And so, when Miss Pam had called me, and she said, I know I can't afford you, but I would love for you to be here at TNT Academy. And I prayed about it, and He just led me there. And I told her April 18th, 2022, that I would come on board. And she said, well, can you just send me like a bio of you, so I could just give it to our families? I said, okay. So I sent her a bio, and 2 days later, I didn't know she was going to blast it all over Facebook.
You were hired.
I was hired.
What is your vision for TNT Academy?
My vision for TNT Academy is for us to grow and prosper and be an amazing vessel for our community. And that's one of the reasons why we have the middle school and high school here in Elgin, because I feel that we could be a vital asset to the Elgin community to bring Christ continue to bring Christ. But Christ is here, but man, just think, you can never get enough of Him. And so, but I feel with growth that we can do a lot of things. So my overall vision for TNT Academy is continued growth, that we can continue to equip champions. I call them our students champions because they're victorious, they have a voice, and they have value. To equip our champions to go out and spread the gospel anywhere, not just Elgin, but anywhere in the world.
I know you're just getting started, but how many middle and high school students do you have here right now?
Right now, we have a total of 16 between the grades 6 through 12. Yes, ma'am.
And I know you're trying to get a 6-man football team going. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
How's that going?
We still have still a lot of work in progress. But what I can say, Miss Deborah, this past year we started a co-op. We're doing a co-op with Bastrop Tribe. And we have 2 young ladies that's playing volleyball for Bastrop Tribe, a senior and a freshman. And this upcoming weekend, they will be playing in a private school state high school volleyball tournament. So I am so proud that our high schoolers are getting a chance to have that opportunity. And it's an amazing opportunity.
That's a big accomplishment in a short period of time.
It is.
It really is.
It is, and it's all God.
Yeah, I think it. What do you consider your most important professional achievement to date?
I would say being able to, with the help of God and a great support team that I have around me, to oversee 2 school campuses. When I first told people, they were like, "Man, you think you can do that?" And I was like, "I don't know, but God, God is in control of this thing, and I'm just gonna follow His beat." And again, God has been doing some great things within both of our campuses this fall, and just being a part of that on an everyday basis to go back and forth between both campuses has been a blessing.
And it's a big achievement too.
It is.
What would you consider your biggest personal achievement to date?
My biggest personal achievement?
Yeah.
I would say to go past 25 years of education. Because when I first started, I didn't think I would last no more than 2 or 3 years. I say to be celebrating my 26th year, that's the achievement in itself. And I have been blessed throughout the years. Don't get me wrong, I've been blessed throughout the years to get different types of awards through my educational career. But to make it past 25, I would say that's the most personal. That's personal.
That's a good achievement. I agree with you. You mentioned that you were separated from your spouse, and I don't want to ask anything about that, but do you have children? Or
Yes, I have three daughters. Aaliyah 28, Hope 25, and Zaria 21, soon to be 22.
Congratulations.
Yes, and I'm so proud of them. So proud. Aaliyah, my oldest, is a therapist, and I'm expecting my first grandchild here.
Congratulations.
In November. Yes. Thank you so much.
So she's a therapist. How about daughter 2?
Daughter 2, she actually lives in North Carolina, just moved to North Carolina, and took a job with Amazon.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow.
And then my youngest is a pre-health major through the University of Nebraska, Lincoln, and through Clarkson, I want to say Methodist Hospital. Yes, Methodist Hospital. So she wants to be a traveling nurse.
Well, they're high achievers like their dad.
They're taking it to a whole nother level, though.
Do you get to see them very often?
I do, and actually I'm going to go see them in the next 2 weeks.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I try to see them at least 2 to 3 times, if not more, a year. Whenever I have a break with school, I always try to get back to Omaha and see them. Yes.
Well, let them know we want to see them in Elgin also.
Yes,
we would
ma'am.
like to get a photograph of them to go with a picture of you.
Yes,
that
ma'am.
Would be a wonderful thing. A couple more questions. I don't want to keep you too long.
Oh, no, you're fine.
You have a vision about TNT Academy.
Yes, ma'am.
You have a vision of what your role in that's going to be. What do you think about Elgin in 5 years or 10 years? What is your vision? What do you see happening in our community?
I see this. I see amazing growth. I see for Elgin within the next 5 to 10 years, the way you have new people coming in that have one of these great ideas, and I just see how much everybody pulls together. I just see just amazing growth in every aspect when it comes to schools, churches, more businesses, and opportunities, more opportunity for our youth. And I'm hoping and praying that we have more positive, keep adding more positive opportunities for our youth, because that's where it's going to be.
Yes.
You know,
it is.
And also within our schools, I love it because, you know, like even today, I'm excited about overall. First of all, I was excited about this interview, but the second thing I'm excited about is our community pep rally. That's huge. And again, I love it because we're in a time where, again, people are really coming in and taking ownership and really embracing Elgin. And just watching people embrace it and how they embrace it, that's been a beautiful thing, Ms. Debbie.
I agree with you. I'm a native Elginite myself, and it's wonderful for me to see new people come into our community and be proud of it.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
Not just us old timers, but people who are newly minted Elginites are excited about their community.
Oh yeah. And Ms. Debbie, you might call me strange after this, but I love when I take walks in my community. When I walk up and down Main Street, sometimes I can do it early in the morning before work, or I can do it about between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. It's something about walking up and down Main Street when you're walking by these businesses, even if it's open or closed, and you just feel a sense of freshness. And then also when you walk inside of a school, I'm a very atmosphere type of person. So when I walk inside of a school, I look around and I think of just a total atmosphere. And just the atmosphere when you walk into the schools has been just great. And then when you go into football games and cheer these kids on, and you see the stands just full, you know, these fans from Elgin cheering them on, no matter if you win or lose, that sea of purple, that's a beautiful thing. The pride and all of that.
So you're involved still with the athletics?
Oh
at
yeah,
our
yes ma'am.
schools
Oh
and
yeah, yes
go
ma'am.
to the games?
I go
and
to
all-
the games, yes ma'am, because here's the deal. There's always that one child. Everybody else might have their parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, brothers, sisters at the game, but there's that one child that probably didn't have anybody there cheering them on. And I want to be that one that could cheer that child on. And they may not never meet me. I may never meet them, but I just want to cheer that child on.
You're the cheerleader on one of my teams, too. All right, one more question. As I said, I know that you've got things that you need to do for work. You've told us some really good stories. You've told us stories about Coach Berry and giving advice, Reverend Goins. You've told us stories about your basketball playing experiences. You've told us about growing up in Elgin and being called Bam as you walk around the streets. Are there any other favorite stories that you have growing up? Some things that happened to you that you find to be particularly interesting or funny, or that you would want to share with us?
Probably not at this moment that I can think of, because there's a lot of great stuff that has happened in my life, and especially, you know, even when I went away for those was gone for those years, and I would still come back, and it was always something amazing and eventful. I would just want to leave with this legacy. A legacy means everything to me, and like I said earlier, neither one of my parents graduated from high school, and that prompted me to become an education major. And I'm glad I didn't give up after year 2 or year 3 when I first started teaching, because every time I walk through a door of my building, I think of my parents, and I hope and pray that they're smiling proudly at me, which I feel that they are. But it's my parents. My parents are my driving force, along with my babies. But my parents is who I did this for. And moving to school having a school here in Elgin, and they're buried up the street from here
At the Westbrook
at the
Cemetery.
Westbrook Cemetery. When I pass by there, I smile
You do.
because their baby helped brought a school here to their hometown, and I couldn't be more proud than that.
Legacy is important.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
that's something the Elgin Oral History Project is attempting to do, is to create a legacy of interviews and stories on social media that will last for generations. Thank
Yes,
you for
ma'am.
being a part of this so much,
Thank
Charles Wilson.
Thank
Bam.
you.
May I call you Bam?
You sure can.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Debbie. Thank
Thank
you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Mr. John.
Okay.